We know that applying to dental school and becoming a dentist is not easy. It can be challenging, time consuming, and very, very hard. Tell us what's been the hardest part about this process, about getting into dental school for you? What's been the hardest part?
Like I say, the hardest part of getting into dental school for me was just finding that I guess like that blueprint or that roadmap to get into dental school. By being like the first generation to even go to college, to get a master's, and then to go off into dental school, I can say just finding finding that those landmarks like mentorships, um, pre-dental opportunities, just finding those type of connections that will like help me get to dental school along the way. And so my whole time, up until this point to get into dental school, I just felt like I was a guinea pig. I'm just the one to go through the trial and errors, to figure it out along the way. And I took it for what it is, and I wore it with a badge of honor because I knew at the end of the day, dentistry was something that I always wanted to do. I never had a plan B. And people ask me what was my plan B. I said if I were to get into dental school, I'm gonna just keep on trying again. And so, and that's just one of those things because I was real tunnel vision about it. And I say the hardest part was really just navigating it, being a first generational student, without having any guidance or not having any structure and to get in it. Because in undergrad, I'm grateful for my advisor, but at South Carolina State University, we didn't have like a pre-dental track, to get into dental school. We didn't have any like pre-dental or pre-health advisors. My advisor was just a chemistry professor, and she did the best that she could, to help me along the way. But even then, she didn't understand, the ramifications of what it takes to get into dental school. And so I can say, just reaching out to a couple of people. Like I say, after I graduated, I knew that I wanted to go into dental school, but I didn't know how to. So I started reaching out to people, and one of my good friends had got accepted into TUFTS, the year that we graduated together, and I just started communicating with him, telling me, hey, go do a master's. I went, did a master's program in Massachusetts, just because I knew that Massachusetts was the educational hub, like surrounded by MIT, Harvard, Thomas BU, Boston College. And I knew like coming up here in Massachusetts would keep me on my toes. Being surrounded by, like-minded individuals that are smart, bright, and the best at what they do. And
so mentorship was the being in an environment with like-minded individuals, but also individuals that can actually help you on your pathway and on your journey, and not necessarily having direct access to it made this process very hard for you. I got you.
Yeah.
Got it. Hey, this is Dr. Darwin. Are you looking for some mentorship, some accountability, some help with getting all of this application and getting into dental school and getting into residency and then just your life as a new dentist? Look, I'm having monthly, twice a month, live coaching sessions and office hours so we can talk about all of that. I don't want you to struggle with the application process. I don't want you to struggle with getting ready for interviews. I don't want you to struggle about what list of schools and programs to apply to. We talk about all of that in our group, our monthly group called Dr. Darwin On Demand. Dr. Darwin On Demand. Check it out down below here. And then also, if you're interested and you want to get that help so you don't have to struggle anymore, so that you can get some mentorship, some accountability, and some help, hit this link right here. Hit that link right there so we can get you signed up and enrolled today. Today. Your future starts today. And I'm here to help you. This is Dr. Darwin. And join my members-only community called Dr. Darwin On Demand. Look forward to seeing you soon, okay? Now back to this episode. Enjoy. Dental school is a destination and a career for many people. Well, actually, becoming a dentist is a career for many people. Stay tuned as we talk to a D1 who's got a really unique story about how he got into dental school and how he did it, but most importantly, talks about the struggles and the hardest part about becoming a dentist. Stay tuned. Hey, this is Dr. Darwin, a new dentist coach, with another episode of Ask Dr. Darwin on the New Dentist Podcast Show, where we talk about getting into dental school, getting into residency, and then life as a new dentist. Guys, please continue to share, like, comment on these videos. It allows other people to get access to the information. It helps with the YouTube and the audio logarithm, but it also helps with us being able to continue to bring this information to you. So please support the channel. You can join the channel, but also there's some other ways that you can support the channel. So pre-dental students, current dental students like yourself and others can continue to get some mentorship, but also get some answers and some tips and strategies, okay? Also, be sure to stay all the way through this episode. You don't know when our guest or myself are going to drop some real important tips and advice. So just do yourself a favor, spend the time and listen all the way through. Today, we're going to be talking about how to get into dental school, but also get through into dental school, especially when there are some challenges and things that come up that are unexpected, right? Today, we're joined with D1 student, Dr. Eirrion Timmons, who's going to share a little bit about his journey to dental school. Doc, how you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me, Dr. Darwin. I appreciate it.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. So people are probably seeing your face and your name for the first time. So tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're from, your undergrad, and everything else. So go ahead.
Cool. What's good, everybody? My name is Eirrion Timmons. I'm from Florence, South Carolina, where I went to South Carolina State University, HBCU, in Orangeburg, South Carolina, where I majored in biology and graduated from there. I also went and got my master's in biomedical sciences at Elms College. And then now I'm at my final destination at dental school at Tufts University, School of Dental Medicine.
That's what's up. Congrats. So you're probably one of those 40 or 50 students in the class of about 200, was it 220, 230 now?
That 210.
Yeah, for those of you that don't know, Tufts is the second largest dental school on the planet, only second to NYU and New York City. But you're also, your class is unique as far as the diversity and the number of individuals, African American, from African American descent, that are in the class. I think you guys have the largest number in subsequent years, even though the numbers at Tufts have been skyrocketing over the last 5 to 6 years. So that's great, man. So congratulations about Tufts and your journey. So why dentistry? You know, you're a biology major, and you know, you could do research, you can go into medicine, you can even do some engineering, you know, biomedical engineering and things like that. Why dentistry for you?
Dentistry, it's a lot of things for me. Being in the South, I could say lack of representation was one. Two, I could say I have actually personal experience with dentistry. When I was in middle school, you know, being I guess a reckless teenager kid, you know, running around, playing around. I was on an ATV, got into an ATV accident, just trying to do flips and tricks on it, and end up like falling off and bumping my face on the pavement, end up chipping my central incisor. And, you know, that's like one of the main, you know, key indicators in your smile.
Yeah.
And so when that happened, I remember, you know, my mom, she was a single parent, 3 kids, working two jobs. She wasn't able to get it fixed right on the spot. So I remember going to class like the next couple of days or the next few weeks, feeling embarrassed, low self-esteem. Kids were picking at me because I had a chipped tooth. So I'm literally walking around the school with a molded piece of gum in the shape of a tooth to try to cover it up. And so I just remember, the humiliation and just the embarrassment that I had. And I remember, my mom was able to get the funds to take me. I just remember that rejuvenating smile that I had on my face at the dentist, supplied me with a new as supply me with a new tooth. He put a crown on. He did the best that he could, and ever since then, I just remember, man, like my life just transformed. I was like, this is what I want to do. I want to be able to put smiles on other people's faces who may be going through the same struggles that I went through, and that's just a personal experience for me.
Yeah.
Also, I could say like the lifestyle and the flexibility. I'm an entrepreneur at heart, so I like to be my control of my own destiny, be my own boss, and be able to give other people opportunities, in the community.
Yeah, that's key. I know a lot of people um, may not realize, even though dentistry is a science and it's a technical skill, uh, but it's also business.
Hmm.
It's a straight head-on, head-on business.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, as you have probably seen already, and what you will continue to see, there's not
Hmm.
a lot of courses in dental school about
Not at all.
entrepreneurship.
Not at all.
So hopefully that will change in the near future. But sounds good. Sounds good. So
So,
dentistry, due to your accident, your experience with that, and wanting to help others with their smile,
yes, sir.
and the lifestyle, that makes sense. It makes sense completely. Tell us a little bit. We're going to talk more about. We're going to go backwards a little bit as we move forward. We're going to go back just to kind of get
Okay.
some more information about the application process and how
Okay.
you, what that was like for you. How did you start your application, and what were some of the things that were helpful? Some of the things, some challenges that you had to actually go around to get your application. And I want you to tell us the story about being a pre-health or pre-dental student in undergrad, as well.
Okay. I could say like I started looking at dental school, like applying to dental school, like my senior year in undergrad. But I knew when I started doing like more research and diving into it, I started seeing stuff like the DAT and letters of recommendation and shadowing hours. Granted, I had the shadowing hours. I was shadowing, throughout my undergrad career, as junior year and senior year. But when it came to like the DAT, I wasn't even studying for it. I was started researching dental school like my spring semester going into graduation. And so that's when I started, when I found out from my buddy Jason Cummins, who got accepted into Tufts the year we graduated in 2017. I reached out to him and he gave me some pointers and telling me, I think you should do a master's. And so that's what I did. And then when I went to do the master's, that's when I started taking dental school, applying to dental school a little bit more serious. That's when I got introduced to Dr. Holloway, and she introduced me to a program called I Did, which is increasing diversity in dentistry. I started going to those symposiums and those conferences, networking with other dental school admissions committees, just putting my neck out there, showing my face, showing them that this is what I really want. And then when I started putting those ducks in order, all the stars are starting to start to align. I started taking it more serious when I graduated with my master's in a year, like that following year in 2018. I studied for the DAT like that summer of of 2019, and then I ended up getting accepted into Tufts. I took the DAT twice. I didn't score the first time. I scored pretty low, and the second time I was like, yeah, I kind of knew what's going to be on the exam now, so I had more confidence going into it the second go round, and I approached my study habits a little bit more differently. Um, I can say study wise, it only took me 4 months intensively. And that's because I was teaching as well. I was working two jobs. I was working in a hospital as a clinic office assistant, pretty much checking in patients, billing their insurance, stuff like that. And then while I'm, working at a computer, I also got my DAT material up on the other screen, looking at DAT booster, doing PAT angle rankings, and orgo, chemistry formulas, just making sure I'm consistently studying it throughout the day. And I say just having that hunger and that drive, it eventually is going to catch up. And I can say for the most part, uh, I didn't get accepted when I applied. What I did
Well, let's
when
talk about that. Let's talk about that
yeah,
because,
yeah.
you know, sometimes that happens with your application after you're, during your time where you are
Hmm.
applying, uh, depending on the schools, depending on your
Hmm.
scores, depending on the number of interviews that you have. All of that is important because the application is important, right? The
Hmm.
application, as far as your personal statements, your letters of recommendation,
Yeah,
yes, your DAT scores, even though people think it's all about the DAT scores, it is, but it is not.
yeah, exactly.
It's a holistic approach,
Yeah,
especially for many schools where they're just not looking only at the DAT, but they're looking at you as a complete applicant.
yeah,
So, you know, it's good to hear that you hear more about your time as far as preparing for the DAT, being able to have the time, maybe more so in your master's program that you did
yeah,
than sometimes undergrad, because I know we have heard for many students it's such a challenge during that junior and senior year to study for one more exam, but probably the most important exam, because it's the next step that will
yeah,
launch them into their careers for dentistry during the time that they're also studying for, their major or their minor. And
yeah.
time just seems to run away from many people uh, during the junior and senior year. And it's okay. It's
Hmm.
okay to have a quote unquote gap year as long as you fill it in
Yeah,
with a master's program that's actually going to accentuate and really elevate your candidacy and your application, which
exactly,
uh, we know a lot of people do.
exactly.
Yeah, it
And
was. Go ahead.
and so I could say like when I was applying, I told myself I knew applying to dental school would be very difficult, but I knew it would be expensive. I don't come from a background or a family that got it like that, and so I know if I was going to do it, I was going to put all my chips in at one time. And so when I applied and I took the DAT the first time, I immediately got like rejection letters, like from UConn and Howard and Meharry. And then I took it again within like I guess the 60 or 30 day like time frame they recommend. I took it then right after that, and I got a higher score. And so what I did, I emailed Howard, I emailed UConn, I emailed Harry, and was like, hey, I got a higher score on my DAT. Would you reconsider my application?
Good.
And what did they do? They reconsidered. They reached back out to me like, hey, here's an interview.
Yeah,
Um,
that's
and
good.
so, and I say that just comes with being persistent, being hungry. It's all about mindset. How bad do you really want it?
Yeah.
I wasn't gonna let those denial letters or those
Nope.
rejection letters stop
Nope.
me at all. I was gonna get it by any means, whatever it took. So
All that meant was no right now.
yeah,
And that's a good point. I'm glad you brought up that you have to stay persistent, and it's okay to be aggressive. I know a lot of students think, well, should I call or shouldn't I not call? Or, I don't want them to think that I want it too bad. Well, no, you need to let them know you want it bad,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
And you can't just
exactly.
talk about it. You have to be about it. And
Yeah.
being about it is making sure that you follow up
Hmm.
on different points of your application, even after you have interviews, following up with the interview team,
Hmm.
because things change. And that's one of the things about dental school, too, that it's important to know, which is it is rolling admissions.
Hmm.
As we're talking right now, it's December, and the first set of interviews, I'm sorry, first set of acceptances just went out. But guess what? Many schools don't fulfill or don't matriculate all of their don't fill all of their seats in their program sometimes until June or July. So we're talking 6 or 7 months after the first set of acceptances are sent out to students. So
Yeah.
it's important that you follow up. Stay persistent. Give any updates about your candidacy and about your application
Yeah.
as well. Very, very important.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah.
And open disclaimer, like you're saying, decision day, like I guess national decision or like acceptance day is in December, but I got accepted in March from all of my schools. So,
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
and
let's talk about that too, because it would be important for people to know that your range of scores for the DAT, but also how it also linked into your application to schools. So what were some of the things that you were looking for when you were applying or gathering your list of schools? So let's talk about your list of schools, the places that you applied to, and some of the reasons why.
okay. So I could say I only applied to like a handful of schools because, like I said earlier, like dental school, applying to dental school is expensive, and so I can only apply to what was in my means at the time. And I was being very strategic. I only applied to schools where I knew I had very specific connections, whether it's in admissions or faculty or professor. I knew at Tufts, I knew Dr. Holloway, I knew Dr. Casper. They see my face, more than once. At Howard, I knew Dr. Salter. He's my frat. We talked on multiple occasions. He actually did my interview. At MUSC, I did Dr. Brown. I knew her because she used to come to South Carolina State all the time, presenting her, MUSC admissions team and educating students about MUSC Dental School, and also Meharry, just because from HBCU, I wanted to stay along those lines as well. I didn't have no specific connections there, but I did go down there and tour when I was in undergrad, and I made some connections with some students there. So I kind of like felt pretty good about applying there, and I can say that was my strategy. I applied to schools where I knew I had very specific connections, because I only had a certain amount of limited funds that I was working with when applying, and that was my game plan. And because I knew having connections meant a lot, and it helps your acceptance and your pathway into getting in a little bit more easier. It's all about what you know. It's not about what you know. It's about who you know in most of these days. So,
That's right.
and that,
That's right. Connections, hashtag connections matter,
yeah,
right? Connections matter. And
connections
it
matter.
doesn't necessarily always have to be specifically connections with faculty or people that are on the admissions team. You need connections with those students that are
Mhm.
at that school.
Yeah,
So for those of you that are listening and watching, you're applying to you got your list of schools. Make sure that you utilize social media accordingly. Go to the school's different web pages or the school organization, student organization, and their accounts, and see what they're doing at the school, the different organizations. Possibly connect with some students. I know at some schools, the students are part of the admissions process because they also help with interviews,
yeah,
right? So you just never know, but it also makes you a more informed candidate, especially when you get to your interviews, which we're going to be talking about right now, is the interviews. So tell us a little bit about interview day, what it was like, the types of questions you had, and any questions that were, maybe difficult to answer, or maybe that you were not expecting as a question.
um, I could say Tuff's interview was pretty straightforward. It was more of like a conversation. It was me and like uh, a dental student. I think it was like a D3 or D4 at the time, and it was like a clinical faculty professor. And I knew in the interview I'm a good talker, and so I try to like my strategy was to try to take over the interview as much as I can into my own hands. I was going to do reverse psychology on them. Instead of them asking questions about me, I was going to ask questions about them, because a lot of times people like to talk about themselves. and and when you get them in that vulnerable state of mind, they feel honored, they feel open, and they feel like
Yes.
you feel trusted,
Yes.
and that's when you bring a deeper connection with
Yes.
whoever you're coming face to face with. But I can say in the midst of that conversation, they asked me, uh, um, what is one of my fears? And I was like, I don't fear no man. I said, I don't fear no man but God. And they was like, whoa, what? They was like, they stopped. They was like, wait, what does that mean? I was like, wait, can you elaborate? And I was like, I broke it down I was like, fear to me is an acronym: false evidence appearing real.
That's right.
And when I said that, it was just their minds was just blown, man. They was like, "Oh man, he's in." Like they just ate it up because it was like I was confident in what I was saying, but I was speaking truth about how I feel, and 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 I'm just bringing like a different dynamic and mindset and mentality and into their environment, and that they could something that they could appreciate is something that they would like to see walking through their halls, somebody that's a motivator, somebody that's positive, somebody that's uplifting, and having that uplifting and positive outlook and mindset is something that people gravitate towards. And going through these dental school days and these halls, it can be daunting at times, it can be mentally taxing, but having that positive thinking and letting it know is, hey, we're going to get through this, or you got this, like we got this together, we're going to be good, like keep it up, man, you're doing a good job. So that it goes a long way. You never know what people going through, and by me saying those things, they probably had a stressful day in clinic. So just by hearing that, it's like, man, like he just boosted up my spirit just by saying something like that. So, just be optimistic and be like positive always. Always be positive.
Yeah, always be positive as well, but always have a list of questions. You
Oh yeah,
mentioned
yeah,
the
yeah,
whole notion of reverse psychology and
yeah,
flipping the interview, but guess what? You're supposed to do that because
yeah,
you are supposed to have a list of questions,
yeah,
more specifically, and well, especially if there's students as part of the interview, but also faculty members, right?
yeah.
You should have a
Exactly.
list of questions that you want to ask as part of your interview
Hmm.
so that you are also uh, uh, giving the appearance of wanting, of being what we call interested,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah,
Yes, people will talk about themselves, and you want the interview committee to share their successes, but you also want to ask them questions related to the school. Why should I pick here? What do you like most about the school? What are some things you would like to change, as a faculty member in your department and or as a student? All that is very important for you to know. You got to
definitely.
know those things because those are the things that are going to help you make your selection, right? Because if you get five different schools and you've received acceptances of five different schools, now the onus is on you.
Exactly.
You got to come up with, all right, well, why who's number one through five, or which school am I it's going to be the best fit for me? And that's kind of like the next segue, which is how did you decide with your acceptances? I know you got several acceptances. You can mention that, but how did what were the things that came down? It allowed you to come down to the final hour and be like, okay, I'm going here. This is my number one. I'm gone.
Okay, so I can say I got accepted into Howard, Tufts, and Meharry, and MUSC, and I can say I chose Tufts University School of Dental Medicine simply because when I went there, I went there on multiple occasions. I went to the SNDA Impressions Day.
Hmm.
I went to go tour the school a lot. Like I said, I did my grad program in Mass, so it was literally like an hour away. And every time they had an event, I would always go show my face because, like I said, I just wanted to, put my neck out there. And but one of the most important things for me was Dr. Holloway. While I was in grad school, she was texting me, hey, how's school going? Or hey, how's the application process going? How's studying for the DAT going? And that right there, like, shows that she a person that really cares about my well-being, but also cares about, you know, my trajectory and getting into school. And and propelling my career forward. And that right there spoke to more words than anything to me. And I feel like coming from her, being the stellar individual that she is, being so high ranking and up, having so many responsibilities, and she took the time out of her busy day to acknowledge me, lets me, and that made me feel important. And I was like, man, Tufts is the place to be for me because how important Dr. Holloway made me feel. And when I got to Tufts, just seeing the environment, seeing the diversity, people from all walks of life, Korea, Canada, South Africa, you name it, Brazil, everywhere. And just seeing how they all collided together like one happy family, and everybody was genuinely interested into helping you no matter what you needed. It was S&D Impressions Day. They're giving me numbers, giving me the students giving me their numbers. Hey, I got extra DAT prep, uh, exam practice quizzes if you need them. Here's my number. Take it, and I send them to you. Just stuff like that, man. And that really, so it's so that by itself sold itself, man. And I was like, yo, Tufts
Is
is
it
not even comparable to
right?
nobody else.
Hands down, hands
Yeah,
down. Boston, here I come. Well, congratulations, man.
yeah,
I know it's been a process and a journey, and I'm sure you have some advice and tips for those that are applying right now, those that have even gotten in and they're, not stuck, but have the luxury of having to make a decision. Right? They've got four schools like you did. Right? You have
hmm,
four or five schools, or maybe even more that you've
yeah,
got to choose from. So
yeah.
knowing what you know now and the process that you've gone through, what are a couple tips that you would want to impart and share with those pre-dentals?
For the pre-dentals out there that waiting on your acceptance letter, I say keep praying um, to whatever higher power being that you believe in. Keep manifesting it as power in the tongue. Keep saying I'm going to get in. I'm going to get in because eventually it will happen. And also I say stay grounded and stay hungry. Don't ever get too complacent. If you haven't heard anything, give it some time. Wait till the new year. Let January go, a couple of weeks go by. If you don't hear anything, start reaching out to these schools. Be like, hey, I'm just, checking in on my application. If any updates, if there's anything that I may be missing, could you let me know? Or, just reach out to those admissions offices, call or email, and once they start to see your name in that email a lot, then they start to see on their application admission side, oh, I remember talking to this person, so and so. I remember talking to Mrs. Brown, or I remember talking to Mr. Timmons, or I remember talking to Dr. Mr. Darwin on through email. Let me pull his application up, and so those
Yep,
that will go a long way. So just keep staying at it, but don't overdo it. If you send an email, don't double text. Don't double email. Just give it a couple seconds, give it a couple of days, maybe a week or two. If you haven't heard anything, I say just keep waiting. Dental schools, they accept people on a yearly rolling basis all the
that's
way up
right.
until dental school starts in
Yep.
July. I got all my acceptances in March, and so I say just keep staying persistent and keep staying at it, but don't overdo it.
Yeah, because no, well, not even no, but no answer doesn't mean no. It just means you're still in the process.
Yeah.
And people need to know that the process for that particular year can go as long as the summer before you start dental school.
Mm-hmm.
It can happen. Why? Because there are people, again, there are multiple people like student Dr. Eirrion who received, four acceptances, and schools kind of hold those slots, but up until the point they don't hold the slots, those slots are still open. So they have to fill those slots with new dentists. So that can happen and can be extended all the way through June and maybe even July or maybe even August. of that year. So that follow-up is key. And I know a lot of people are going to struggle with, well, how long should I wait? Well, you have to keep in mind, because the process is that long, and there are schools that will have potentially 10, 15 slots still available in May or June, because the acceptances that they extend to others, those other people are now going to other schools. So they're constantly looking to make sure that they are filling the class size. So
Yeah.
it's the long haul, right?
Mhm.
It's not it won't be a quick decision. It won't be a quick process. You
Not at
just
all.
have to give it time. If not a couple weeks, follow up in a month,
Yeah.
right? Via email. Let them know, I'm still in the pool, and just following up to see if there's been any changes.
Exactly.
And keep in mind, everyone is emailing the school. So
Yeah.
all the admissions committee, guess what they're getting all the time? Emails.
Yeah.
So I mean, the inbox between, October to July is going to be it's going to be a lot of emails that the admissions
Hmm.
folks receive. So you got to keep in mind, one quick tip to add to that is, don't you can send them an email, but follow up with a thank you card, a
Yeah.
handwritten thank you card,
Yeah.
that will hopefully get their attention a little bit more than just
Yeah.
an email, because everybody gets emails. Everybody sends emails, right? Everybody,
Yeah.
everybody sends emails. That means
Yeah.
they get a lot of those as well.
Another
Um,
quick tip I can say with the thank you cards, what I did after my interviews at each school, I made sure I try to, at least connect with, 4 or 5 faculty or people of admission that were like conducting the interviews. I got their personal emails and numbers, and when I got back to my crib, I would email them.
yep,
Thank yous. Appreciate the opportunity. It was very nice to meet you and connect with you. I hope to see you soon or hear from you
yep,
soon.
yep.
And hope to be walking through your halls one day.
That's
Stuff
right.
like that. And so, and that goes a long way.
Manifest it. Speak it into existence as if it exists right now. Because
Mhm.
plan B and C is really plan A. So there you go. You got to keep speaking it into existence
Exactly.
completely. Well, this has completely been very helpful. What's the
So,
best way for people to contact you if they have any other questions or just want to connect with you? Make those connections, right?
yes, sir. So if you guys want to reach out to me, my email is eirriont@yahoo.com. EIRRIONT@yahoo.com. Or you can follow me on Instagram and DM me any questions, comments, or concerns at the Dental Perfumer. Um, that again, my Instagram tag is the Dental Perfumer.
There
You
it
can
is.
DM me, message me with anything that you would like, and I'm able to assist you right now, anything you want. So I'm an open book. I'm honest. I shoot it to you straight. If you need me to read your personal statement, look at your resume, do anything, help you along, get you into the dental school, I'm all for it. I'm all for giving back and uplifting the
Good,
next generation of student docs.
good, good. And those that do reach out to him, don't overwork him now. He's D1, D2 years. It's the hardest years, the first 2 years of dental school. He don't have time to look at all your emails and
Yeah,
all of your questions. He is going to help, but keep in mind, the brother is in dental school, which you will see when you get in, that your time is already preoccupied and allocated for. So
yeah,
don't beat him up with all the questions, y'all.
yeah.
But thank you for extending that opportunity for people to listen,
Yes,
for
sir.
you to listen to them and to help them, and as they continue their journey through dental school. Guys, hopefully these videos right here will help you as well, and as part of your journey. And thank you so much. And that's our time. Love, peace,
Peace.
and smiles. We'll see you on the next video. Actually, go to the next video right now. Go right here. Go. Listen to the next episode and go to the next video right here. All right. Thanks, Doc.
Thank you.